we have introduced this change to reduce noise, facilitate the way the information is consumed from the portal. This is going to help us understand better those contacts and help us do our analysis and investigation of all those IOCs. So the first thing you see here are the latest incidents. So we have here those incidents organized by the most recent one. You have the domains, you have when was it contacted the first time, how many endpoints are affected, how many contacts has it had, and you can kind of like play with this and scroll right to left and left to right to see all those latest incidents right away. So we want to keep that up top at all times so you can, as soon as you log in, start seeing and start looking at those incidents. You also have information about the status of the incidents. And I'm going to be talking about the status that we introduced with incidents in a moment. In here, we are going to see that we have, for example, 14 open incidents. Incidents can be open, closed, and muted, and I'll be explaining each of those status in a moment. You have the number of endpoints that are affected, and you have the number of labels that are affected. Keep an eye on the labels across the whole training, because we also did a small tweak to the labels. We introduced a small change to the labels to facilitate the way they work and to make them better at grouping those assets that we want, and to allow you to use those labels to prioritize those alerts and those assets you want to look into, analyze, and investigate. You also have, same as before, your activity and distribution dashboards. These haven't changed. You still have those graphs here, are very important to know exactly the compromise level of the organization. You can still play with these graphs. You are familiar with them. You're going to be happy that you still can check that information right here. And here at the bottom is where we have what we used to have before up top, which is information about the deployment of Lumu. So you can see, for example, the number of gateways that we've deployed, number of virtual appliances, and so on. So this information is still there. For example, if you're rolling out some like a new installation of the agent, you can keep track of that right here, because you can know how many agents have been installed across the organization. So you still have that information there, but now what we want you to focus more is on those incidents, so you can start your investigation right away. Okay, so with the introduction of incidents, we have a new module here, which is the incidents module. You can go to it by clicking on this menu here on the left, or by just clicking here where it says view all incidents on the right. So I'm just going to do that and look at this new incidents module. Right away, you have some metrics about incidents. You want to know how the institution or how the organization is doing in regards of incidents. So you can know right now that you have 14 open incidents, for example, how many total contacts you have, how many labels are affected. As I said, labels are becoming a little bit more important in this release, in this new change, and how many endpoints are affected by those incidents. You have information about the distribution of the open incidents by label. So if you remember, and I'll be talking about this in a moment, if you remember, labels are just ways we have to group those users or those assets inside the organization. We can have labels per business unit or per physical location or anything we want. So in this case, we have 3 business units: operations, sales, and development. And you can see which of these label or organization unit is the one that is being most affected by those 14 incidents that we have open. You also have information about the threat type. That's still there and very important. We want you to know how many incidents are related to malware, phishing, command and control, and other types of attacks. So that information is still there. Now, if I scroll down a little bit, I'm going to look at 3 different tabs. I have my open incidents tab, my closed incidents tab, and muted incidents tab. So I have 3 different status for incidents. In the open tab, I'm going to see those incidents that just arrived at some point, or no one has closed, or no one has actually investigated. The first thing I'm going to have is definitely the IOCs. endpoints affected, labels affected, and total number of contacts. I want to keep that information there at all times so I can know exactly the impact of each of these incidents to my organization. Um, I can here know if this incident has been open before. This orange bar here on the left means that this incident has not been opened before, so no one has actually looked into it. So this is also going to allow me to organize better with my team, because I'm going to know if someone already looked into a specific incident. I'm going to now go and check a specific incident. So if I click on it, I'm going to see the details of this specific incident. I'm going to see the domain here, the date of the incident, the status, which in this case is open, incident activity. So again, a couple of metrics that are going to be very important, and the distribution of contacts across time. So this graph here on the right lets me know when my organization is having those contacts with that specific IOC. So in this case, I have 8 contacts on this specific day at 10 a.m. And I have one more contact on this specific day at 12 p.m. So I can also see how the incident is doing, kind of like the pattern of the incident from this view. If I scroll down, I'm also going to see the endpoints that have been affected by the incident. So I want to know who or what asset is the one that originated those contacts. So if I open this, for example, I only have one device here. I'm going to see detailed information about each of those contacts. So in this case, I know that on March 16, for example, via the Windows agent, this user through this process originated a contact to that specific IOC. And I even know the client IP address here. So very, very important information for my investigation. So right away, you can see that you can focus your investigation on a different way. So you can look at those incidents, you can look at specific IOC, and then you can analyze all the contacts from a specific endpoint or a specific asset. So this is going to allow you to focus more on what's really important, and it's going to guide your investigation on a different way. So the experience of using the portal and consuming this information is a little bit different, and the workflow for the investigation might be easier now with all this information. Now, with the incident, talking about those different status that we have, this incident is open. But let's say after I did my investigation and I already cleaned up the machines, it turns out it was some kind of like, I don't know, adware or malware running in one of those assets. I already cleaned those up. So I'm going to mark this incident as closed. So the only thing I have to do is just mark as closed. The portal is going to ask me to leave a comment here. I want to keep track of the reason or all the information I want to add here for why I'm closing the incident. So I can add all that information here. In this case, I could add something like I did the investigation. It turns out it was a malware, so on, so on. I clean it up, and it should not be an issue anymore. And I can mark the incident as closed. Once the incident is closed, something to keep in mind is that it cannot be opened again. So the incident is going to remain closed, but if we get another contact for that specific IOC, another incident is going to be open. So it doesn't mean that if we close the incident, we're not going to see anything from it. It just means that for that specific action or for those specific contacts, I'm okay. I already did the investigation and I can close the incident because I already know what happened or mitigated the threat inside the company. I also have the case history. So I want to know what has happened with this incident. So in this case history, I'm going to see who has read the incident, who has closed it, for example, if anyone added any kind of comments, for example, I'm going to see all that information here so I can keep track of every incident, what's happened with each of them, and know exactly how or what happened or the result of any kind of investigation there. Let me go back here to my incidents module. Once I close an incident, I'm going to now find it here in my close tab. So I have here the incidents that are closed. Again, closed incidents means I cannot open them, but new contacts for that specific IOC are going to generate new incidents. That's why, for example, we have 2 incidents here with the same domain. It means because we probably closed one and then we received another contact for that specific IOC. So we opened another incident. Something else I can do with incidents, if I click on these three dots on the right, is mute the incidents. So I can mark as closed from this menu, or mute the incident from this adversary. And what muting means is that I don't want to see more incidents for that specific domain, or I don't want to get alerted for any contacts with that specific domain. And this usually happens when I determine that we have a business, a valid business reason for accessing that specific domain. Maybe the user is doing some testing, or maybe we are testing some application that contacts some compromised URLs or something like that. So maybe I don't want to get alerted every time that happens. So I can just come here and mute all the incidents from that adversary. And what that's going to do is move the incident to my muted tab. I'm going to see it here, and I'm not going to get new incidents every time someone clicks or accesses this domain. This is something that we can unmute. So I can just click here on the buttons again, on the three dots, and unmute the incident. So that means it's going to start working again, and I'm going to generate new incidents and alerts every time someone accesses this domain again. Yeah, so that's basically how the incident module works. Just keep in mind you have open, closed, and muted. Closed, you cannot open them again, but a new incident is going to be generated if that contact is generated again. And muted, you can mute and unmute those incidents. This list, you can also filter. So for example, you have type here of thread. You can decide if you want to look at malware, mining, or phishing, or other types of threats here. You can filter this information so you can focus on what you want to see. And you can also filter by label. Now, labels is where we also introduced a small tweak or a small change. So before I show you how to filter by label, let me show you a little bit about how the labels are created and set now. So if I go to settings here and I go to labels, where I create and manage all those labels, you're going to see that we have the same information as before. You can still create those labels, and you have your current labels created, but we introduced a new concept here, which is the business relevance, which is going to be low, medium, or high. This means that every label you create in the portal is going to have a business relevance, low, medium, or high. And basically what we are doing here is allowing you to define the priority level of each group of assets. So you can define, using this business relevance, which assets are going to be more important for the organization. For example, if you have some kind of like servers that handle credit card information or payment information, or a PCI environment, you might want to have those as a high priority or high business relevance, because you want to look into those first or before than guest Wi-Fi network, for example. So you can use this business relevance for that to help you prioritize what matters the most for the organization. So basically, when you create a new label, the portal is going to request the same information as before: name, description, and now it's going to request you to add the business relevance, low, medium, or high for every label. So basically what we are doing here is giving you the flexibility and the capabilities to define those priorities yourself. Instead of us defining what's more important for the organization, we're letting you decide based on how you work, how your business model is, and how you operate internally. So these labels are very important to do that. Now, coming back to the incidents, what I wanted to show you to finalize is the label filtering. So here I have the label filtering. What you can do with labels is organize your workflow in a different way. So what an analyst would do is, for example, start with the high alerts or with the high business relevance incidents, and they work their way down with medium and low. So that's gonna change a little bit the workflow they have and how they operate. Yep, so that's all I had prepared for you today. Yep, that's all I had prepared for you today. Sorry about that. Yeah, so just keep in mind, we have introduced this change to reduce noise, facilitate the way the information is consumed from the portal, and make it easier for you to work on those incidents and those alerts that the portal generates. Yeah, back to you, Cindy. I don't know if we have any questions.
So thank you, Juan Pablo, for your introduction of the new portal. That's very exciting. So now we have some time to take some questions from the audience. So let me just double check here. Okay. So, all right. So one of them is, after assigning a business relevance to a label, can it be changed?
Yeah, definitely. You can change it at any time.
Okay, and I guess to add to that question, and just for clarification, does it matter who assigns the label, or can it be changed between users?
It can be changed between users. So one user can set it to medium and another user can define or decide to change it to high at any point. That's transparent for the portal. But what you do have to keep in mind is that the portal has different roles. So we have an admin and a user role. Only the admins are the ones who can change that business relevance for labels.
Yes, that's a really good point. So for those of you who've used the portal before, remember that those who are normal user settings just get visibility on the portal. So it's maybe someone who just needs to see what's happening in the portal, but not necessarily make any changes. So that is very important to keep in mind. All right, great. Okay, so another really good question. What is the difference between a closed incident and a muted one?
So closed incident means for those specific actions or for those specific contacts, I already did my investigation and I don't want to keep them as open anymore. But I would still get a new incident if someone contacts any of those domains again. Whereas muted incident means I'm not going to get any new incidents if someone contacts that domain again. So muting means no more contacts or no more alerts in the portal. Close means new incidents are going to be generated again.
Okay, great. Let's see. Okay, and let's see. We've got this question. Is there any documentation that's available for any of the changes? So maybe if they want to like dig a little bit deeper.
Yeah, definitely. So if you go to our documentation page from the portal, you can just click on the orange question mark on the bottom right corner. You can go to our documentation page and you're going to find information about incidents. Everything is up to date, and you're going to see information about the business relevance for labels as well, how they work. Everything I said today is there. So yeah, you can check that out as well.
All right, and then we're gonna just go to our last question because we're running out of time here. So, oh, actually, this one I can answer. The question is if this training is recorded, and yes, it is. So we will be sending out a playback of the training later to everyone who has registered. So for those of you who had team members who wanted to attend, or anyone else who missed out, we will be sending an email with that link later this week. So that is something that we have available for all of our trainings as well. So that's important to keep in mind. So this is why we encourage you to register every time. So even if you're not able to make it, we'll always send it to you. So not a problem. All right, so I think that's all the time that we have today. So thank you, Juan Pablo. Thank you to everyone in our audience for your questions and your time. If you have any other questions or concerns about our portal, feel free to contact us directly in our email. You can also contact us with the little orange question mark again, like Juan Pablo mentioned, in the portal to contact support if you have any problems. All right, well, thank you guys so much and have a great day. Bye.